I'm Glenn Flickinger of 21st Century Consulting. Today I'm privileged to be with John McFadden from BioVet Incorporated. John's been in the dairy business a long time. The questions I have for John today is, in these hard economic times, we're looking to cut costs, feeds 50% of your expense in any given month. And so John, when guys are looking at how do we manage our feed costs, what are some of the things that you would tell them to look at to manage that?
Well, I think that there's some products you don't want to take out of a ration. Sodium bicarb, yeast, these kind of things they've just been proven time and time again. You can make arguments about other kind of products that are in there, and I don't have to go down the list with them, but you can make some arguments. But yeast and sodium bicarb would just be no-brainer. Reason being is we're trying to be able to keep the pH of the stomach at a certain level so that we don't get in an acidotic state. We keep these girls happy and humming along, and yeast have been proven to be able to work with you from those standpoints as far as feeding the bacteria that are in there. The thing you've got to do when you're getting additives is be able to measure those additives. In other words, what am I trying to do? Am I trying to get better feed conversion? Am I trying to get the smack cell count? Am I trying to get heat abatement? Any of these kind of things that you can buy today? Make sure you have a number that you're working with, a goal in mind to be able to work with. And work with your nutritionist and your feed company to be able to get there. Hold them to the fire that we need to be able to be at these levels. Otherwise, 6 months down the road, you've spent money and you don't have a lot to show for it. The other thing you want to look at is, what am I spending? If I'm spending, say, 40 cents and I'm only getting a 20-cent return, it's not worth it to you, okay? But you have to be able to measure it. I know we all get busy at this time of the year, and farming's a very busy process. Let your nutritionist and your feed company help you develop these plans, look at the products that they're using and what they will return and what you're trying to, I hate to use the word cure, but trying to get to. Don't just look for a silver bullet.
So John, as we record this video, milk proteins are going to be $4.58 a pound. And so if you were milking cows and someone came to you and they said, John, I have this product that will increase your protein, what are two or three steps that you would go through mentally, maybe, or on tablet and paper to decide whether this is even worth looking at or not?
Well, getting protein's difficult in cows. It's a difficult thing to move.
Yes.
There are other things on a farm that you can move much quicker than you can on protein. So you'd have to really look at where the numbers sort of sit at. And that is pencil and paper and sitting down and taking the time to be able to work through these kind of things. To get protein movement, you got to have cows humming. They got to be working perfectly. So if you're having a lot of issues with fresh cows, now's not the time to be working with protein. If you're having a lot of problems getting cows bred, now's not the time to be able to look for protein. There's some other things that you can manage into this, maybe, butter fat, things like that are easier to be able to work with, but pick reasonable objectives. Because there are going to be people who say, hey, I can do this. But if you look at the science, it's hard to move it.
Yes.
It's hard to move it.
That's some really good advice. So what kind of, you brought up another really excellent point, and that is put a timetable on something you're going to do. So you make the decision that you're going to try this product, and you've set your goal. What's the time frame? What's reasonable? 1 month, 6 years, what's a reasonable time?
Well, it's not out to 6 years, but you had the 6 right. I'd say 6 months. When I look at products that are working for reproduction, you can't get this overnight. I might be able to help you with butterfat fairly quickly, maybe 1 to 2 months in reasonable weather. But reproduction is at least 6 months as a minimum. So if that's what you're looking to be able to do, you've got to be realistic in what you're able to work with. And it's a moving ball from that standpoint. But I'd say 6 to 8 months would be on the top end for reproduction. Some of these other kind of things, as far as if you're working to be able to work with dry cow issues, and you want to look at them in the fresh pen, that's probably 3 to 4 months in that scenario. So, be realistic with what you're looking at. Just don't pull them after a month. because it's just not going to do you any good.
Yeah, switching sometimes is worse than doing nothing.
Yeah.
So as we wrap this up, any parting thoughts, any comments that you say, man, I really would like dairymen to hear this?
Well, I'm glad you asked me these questions because I work in a feed additive business, and that's the one thing I ask farmers when I'm working on a farm is, what are your goals? Where do you want to be? Those are the things, because I cannot morally spend your money on something that's not going to feed your family. And I'm very conscious of what's going to be able to get money back for you.
Yeah.
And those are the main issues that I have.
Yeah. ROI, return on your investment.
Exactly.
John, I really appreciate you taking this time and spending it with me. Thank you. I really liked a lot of the things you said. They're just practical and good sound management.
Oh, great. Thanks.
I'm Glenn Flicking, and that's our opinion.